kills for pleasure.
He was skinned alive!
It hunts for sport.
It's killing us one at a time.
But this time,
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
it's picked the wrong man to hunt. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Predator, rated R, now playing in theaters everywhere.
I saw it in the theater in Westwood opening night, premiere, and it was like people were cheering.
People loved the movie, and it did really well, and it had a really big opening night. It was the #1 film that weekend.
My mother walked out. Now, and it's funny, my mother didn't walk out during all the pussy jokes. You know, she was not offended, but she couldn't. When my character ran into the jungle and she knew that I was about to get killed, she couldn't watch. She had to leave.
I believe the original budget of the movie was $18 million. When you look back, it's not a lot of money, because an action movie today, if you can do it for $50 million, you've done a great job.
The official tab on this movie is that it has lost more than its original cost.
Well, I got to be honest. I got a net points check about 2 weeks ago from the studio on the movie, so it seemingly has broke even.
We had no idea that the film would be so well remembered 15 years later.
To this day, all the things I've ever done, people talk about. Just today, I was talking to some guys, and one of the business guys was talking about. He had met me. He says, "Predator." I mean, the first thing he said. I mean, he doesn't say Bill Duke. He says Predator.
The strength of those characters is what draws us back. There's something about the characters that resonate for us, and you know, 15 years later, I guess those characters still resonate for a lot of people.
I don't think the idea is dead even. They did a sequel, of course. You still see Predator T-shirts.
It's a classic. It set a standard.
You're one ugly motherfucker.
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 Got another shirt. 4 inch, 100. Willie Bruno, I'll drop my hand.
Showtime, kid.
We used to use wooden sticks for guns when we were kids. And here we are, I'm still a kid when we're doing the movie, except now I got this thing that's like handcrafted Czechoslovakian machine gun, and when I point it at someone and pull the trigger, it makes holes in them and the blood comes flying out. So fuck yeah, man, that was fun.
The attack on the Palapa was one of the most fun scenes I've ever been involved in, because there were so many guys, there was so much gunfire. The explosion of the helicopter, all that stuff. I mean, it was amazing of how many rounds of ammunition went off in that thing. And I don't remember one person getting hurt.
You see Craig over there, who's the second unit director? When he started this project, he was black-haired 2 weeks ago.
Just mapped out every single detail, every explosion, an incredible amount of action.
Okay, here we go. Now, by the number. If the gentlemen that are doing the pre-light can get in their position so we can see how long it's going to take, it'd be terrific. I'd like you to run to every mark you have for the pre-light, all right?
Basically, for me, I shot list everything. And what I'll do, I'll write a brief synopsis of an action sequence, and I'll construct a shot list. And in doing so, I'll itemize every aspect of the stunt.
Okay, another rehearsal from the top without the squeeze. It'll be from the action cue, all right? Okay, and action. Move!
Obviously, you can see we do the stunts, but what you see on film is the optimum in that illusion. It's like a magic trick. And if we can do that, we've accomplished what we set out to do. When you see this film, it's going to have a scope a lot of battle sequences haven't had. I've tried to put the audience into the midst of the battle instead of let them view it from an outside viewpoint. But I've taken Arnold, Carl, all the principals here, and I've tied them into the major explosion. So the audience, I think, really overall are going to feel like they're part of this film.
Okay, step out on the platform. He said no. Billy, stand up and get ready. That looks good, Billy. Roll cameras, and I will give action, all right? Are you okay, Billy? Okay, now stand by, gentlemen. Stand by. And action!
I'll tell you what, we've probably got some of the best stuntmen in town here, and they're from all different groups, independents. We've got some of Hollywood's finest here. Really a good bunch.
Wonderful. I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change nothing.
Cierren mejor la palapa, por favor. Detrás de la grúa que quiera irse para allá.
In. Okay, Jimmy, are you ready?
1 second.
The mortar on the ground over there, and there's a mortar up in the road. All right? Okay, here we go. And light the pre-light. Roll cameras. Go. Big. The other way, Paul. And action! And that's a cut. That's a cut.
Basically, the concept here was come up with a battle sequence that would outdo anything that's been done.
Close shave. You're very close shave.
That's a beautiful shot. Fuck, that was nice.
Looked like a giant.
That was nice.
Whole show's like that.
Really, it's come up with something new, fresh, and innovative.
You got time to duck?
And we've taken it to the max here as far as safety is concerned, but the bottom line is we've created the illusion that the audience is going to feel like these actors were indeed part of this battle sequence, as well as themselves.
Arnold is a star in every sense of the word.
This is my kind of a day.
A star is not only to sell tickets, he's got to take command of the set and be a leader.
We move. 5-meter spread. No sound.
Well, working with Arnold Schwarzenegger is a pleasure. Consummate professional. Totally prepared. All he asks for you is to be prepared as much as he does. Yes? All he asks you for you is work as hard as he's working.
That's good. Okay. Good. Now, see, that looks like you're diving.
Yeah.
You know where you're going.
Right, okay.
And that's fair.
People look at him as a natural leader. It helps enormously in a movie company if somebody like Arnold walks out there and deals with the water, deals with the mud, deals with the rain, all the mosquitoes, the heat, the whatever, and takes it on like, hey, what are we going to do today? And that attitude spreads. Bang something!
Son of a bitch, I grabbed the was exactly the bush. There's all the
one you banged into had to be one of those?
He always has a word for somebody. He always stops and pays attention and finds out what's going on around him with the people, even the peons and the lesser actors.
Arnold is my favorite actor in the whole world. It is true. It is true. It is true. Das is correct.
There are people who go right through a script and just make sure that every decent moment, every good line gets plucked out, and no matter who's got it, it winds up, his agents call up and say, that line, can that get moved? Arnold has never been like that. Arnold sponsors other people. Arnold tries to make the people around him look good and feel good. He's great that way.
So Arnold said to me, John, he goes, I want to meet the writers. I go, okay. He goes, today. I go, okay. Where do you want to meet him? He goes, let's go to your house. I'll meet them in the steam room. right? So I said, that sounds like a good idea. So I called up the writers, and I said, Arnold wants to meet you today. You better bring your bathing suits or a towel. And we're sitting there in the steam room, Arnold and I, and the guys came in, you know, and they had their yellow pads, and doodly they were taking notes in the steam room.
Originally, we had envisioned a person who had an intense physicality, but was a little smaller in stature. But I think Arnold's worked out just fine.
What's a little bit of something about who this guy is?
Oh, he's like Joel Silva. He's like really ballsy. He's the top of the line. He's incredible.
You know, there's an accessibility to him. You can talk to him. He doesn't walk away. He doesn't go in his trailer. He offers you something to eat. I remember the Mexican guide that we had. He took his kids out pony riding one day. You think, this guy has gone through and known things I never will. And so you assume an intimidation factor. But in fact, it's not there with him. He's very open. He's very accessible. And he's a lot of fun. He just sits there chomping a cigar. He tells jokes.
Where's my stogie?
Certainly, a lot of cigar smoking was put in the script because you could never find Arnold without a cigar in his hand anyway.
Hey, John, do we do the getting up or about? Arnold, of course, had these giant stogies he's smoking. I, being the athlete that I am and the clean living person that I am, never in a million years would let tobacco touch my lips. Absolutely not. But I sat there in that chair getting a whiff of this great this aroma of this stogie. And Arnold eventually, golly, you want one? Sure, why not? I was hooked. It was all over. After that, I had a stogie or two, and within a few days, Arnold had a box of stogies delivered to me, you know, and got me hooked. And shame on you, Arnold.
See, my weapons are being used against me. Okay.
Well, it's a living comic book. You just look at him. He's a man mountain. The pages out of a well-inked strip, just poof, walking. There he is. He walks in the room.
I enjoy working with Arnold and Joel because it's really a family.
And I'm working with a great team of guys, and we're having a good time down there.
It's time to let old Painless out the bag. Payback time.
Jesse had the Gatling gun.
It's a mammoth weapon.
And when old Painless came out of the sock, it tore things up.
I'm the first person in film history to shoot this weapon handheld. Not even Rambo can say that.
That one piece of equipment, in my mind, was just the most ridiculous, amazing, phenomenal kind of moment in movies. And all the rest of us standing there with our measly little automatic weapons, opening them up on the jungle. And Bill Duke wound up with old Painless and mowed down half of Mexico.
All those things that explode are all wired. And so we would fire, and they'd strip down, and you know, you see it go. But there were rows and rows and rows of that stuff. If there was a second or third take, we'd go home, we'd go back, and we'd either shoot something else or go back to our motorhomes or whatever. And they would, you know, take hours and hours and hours to re-scrib it. We'd come out and shoot it. It's incredible, right?
Firing mechanisms right back here. Shoots off of there. And see, all these barrels will spin towards my left. You know, they all turn. And what this is basically is like the mount for an M60 machine gun, and then they built this carriage off the top of it. See, normally this weapon is a helicopter. It's a helicopter. What's a Gatling gun? It's electronic powered. It's like the old days, remember in the old movies of Civil War, where the guy cranks the Gatling gun and sticks the bullets in the top, like that? Well, this is just a modern Gatling gun that's electronically powered to where all these 6 barrels are rotating.
They had these batteries, these around 6 or 8 batteries on these gigantic cables locked to the bottom of the gun.
Come on in, you fuckers.
You couldn't see it off screen, but these battery cables were gigantic, came up to the gun and just powered the whole thing.
When I say Jesse, you turn back and open fire.
It makes no sense outside the context of a film that someone would have this Gatling gun which fires 1 billion rounds a second and then have to carry all the ammo on their back and it's good for maybe 2 shots and then they have to drop it. But it would look cool.
Turn back, Jesse, turn back. And that's a cut. Put him out, that's a cut.
So what's it like shooting this thing?
It's like shooting a chainsaw.
They'd have to be a mountain of a man or have a couple of oxen to pull it around on a cart, you know.
It's not as bad as everyone thinks it is. I don't know, maybe because I'm 6'5", 250 pounds, that helps too.
It was pretty impressive when you stood right there and when you stood next to this piece of equipment and it was going off.
Yeah, the gun was so awesome that even the stunt guys who have seen everything there is to see were like,
in the story, all the gentlemen have camouflage makeup when they hit the jungle. So they have to have the camouflage look, which has to match every day. The wounds that, occur to each individual during the show, the sweat, all the different variables that make them appear to be in the jungle.
We had a whole bunch of military books in regards to different makeups.
The problem was that if you get too much camoufage on them, you lose the individual. With the different makeups, it helps distinguish the characters as you're watching them. And you also get to know them. You'll see Bill Duke, who's very dark-skinned anyway, doesn't wear any camouflage makeup. Somewhere the skin is lighter brown on his nose and his cheeks, we darken that up, so he almost disappears in a shadow.
I see you.
Arnold, for instance, his lines are strong. It's a very strong character. Sonny Landham, who plays the Indian guide, he's just got like the war paint. That's like he said, to hell with it. Let's go get him. That kind of character. Carl Weathers is very subdued, and I think that was because of his role as a CIA agent, like a pencil pusher, that has come back to the jungle for this one mission. He's still rugged and tough, but he's softer than the other guys. He comes out, his clothes are like he bought them in a department store somewhere, his jungle fatigues, whereas the other guys, it is their own military issue.
What is this fucking tie business?
Oh, come on, forget about my tie, man.
A Makeup Mike story. Anybody there watching this may wonder why the microphone is now apparent. I've just run up to check Richard Chavez because he banged his forehead and got a cut, and we had to cover it. It didn't match continuity-wise. There are a lot of inconveniences. For instance, today we have 3 units shooting. We have one here, one on another side of a hill, and one down below. So they may be shooting a scene down there that I'm not familiar with, except by radio. And I'll say, okay, what scene? You're in scene 30. Okay, the guy should look like this. And then send down photos of him. Or they know it's heavier camouflage because it's earlier in the show. I'm doing scenes up in the 100 sequence up here. The camouflage is less because they've been running for 2 days. And of course, they don't stop in the jungle and pull out their mirror and go, and freshen up their camouflage. Hiking up and down the hills, trying to find a place to put my makeup case on so I can open the lid and get into it and start working. They're waiting over here, they've got everything's ready, they're waiting for me, and I'm doing things, and I can't find a place to just open my case because it sits downhill and I open and everything falls out. The heat itself, does things to the skin. If they swallow their makeup, the skin, absorbs it as they sweat and everything, and the skin breathes. It's a whole lot different than doing it on the back lot at Universal. There is no comparison.
Somebody's rolling here. I was wondering if you ever roll before lunch. Now you're rolling. Hi.
Originally, they wanted me to build these mud appliances, these things to glue onto a skin that looked like mud. And I said, guys, out here in the jungle with this heat and the perspiration, the man will come out 110 pounds at the end of the show. He'll just die inside anything that's that constrictive. What we've done is we've taken clay. It's in a powder form, comes in sacks of about 100 pounds a sack. Mix it with water, and then an ingredient called methacil, which is an inert compound which gives it some thickness and also kind of solidifies. We'll take it, put it in these 30-gallon drums that we've built, or they're actually like water tanks about so high. They have a 3/4-inch nozzle outlet on it that we will shoot the stuff out of a hose, like a garden hose, with a fantail end on the end of it, and just put them up against the wall, just like we're stuccoing the side of a house. Say, turn around, Arnold, and hopefully all will go well.
You're not dirty enough. Bro.
It was my feeling that that would be the simplest way to keep continuity and make it simple on Arnold so that in between takes or during lunchtime he can get the stuff off with a hose, with water. It'll just wash right off.
We're doing another shot like this.
I know.
Still, oh yeah. In the meantime,
up right now.
Right.
Otherwise, you really can't get cleaned up.
No, I will get cleaned up anyway.
Yeah.
For sure. I think it's lunch like this for now. I'm an idiot.
We work real close with special effects. The special effects men on a show like this where you have people who are getting, the sides of their head blown off or arms cut off, things like that.
The most fun I've had is seeing the picture of myself dead, hanging from the tree. So I'm going to take the body, it's all disemboweled. And I said after the movie I could have it, and I'm going to put bean dip in the middle of it and serve things out of it. That's what I'm getting out of the movie anyway. So
what it boils down to is there's a very definite line now. If it goes on the skin of a human being, makeup, special effects. If it goes on a dummy or a body or anything other than that, special effects. And that's the line. But a lot of times we give on both sides because we need the help of the other, the other team. There's no push-pull, no struggle. It's just work. Get it done, get the best effect.
It's always been important to me somehow to try to give a sense of a place, create a sense of a place, and create a sense that this fight happens in a specific place. Because it was in an isolated environment, it had wonderful theatrical possibilities. You could make it all spooky, and you could create whatever world you needed, which ultimately we did.
We're obviously trying to create a mystery and a threat, because it's a film. I suppose it's a horror film. And this one, the design has just got to be taken out of the jungle.
First off, access to the really good jungle is a problem, because that's the reason it's really good jungle is because nobody's been in there. And so we have to, for the most part, create a jungle look in more accessible places.
You lose it here, you're in a world of hurt.
For the most part, we started by watering. We got water trucks and fire hoses and started about 3 or 4 weeks before they started filming them, and just watering to get the dust and the dirt off the leaves, and then also to just try and get the jungle to start greening up.
We're in a place that has a wet and dry season, and it's nice to be here in the dry season. It'd be great to be here in the wet season to shoot the movie. I don't think we'd all survive, but that's another issue. So we're trying to make the jungle revert. The bits of the jungle that survive the dry season best are all in valleys, and that's where we've been working. And I mean, every day is a steep climb up or down.
We've tried it in some places to make it very kind of claustrophobic. In other places to widen it out a little bit, to give kind of a sense of either peril.
It had some giant trees in it, and we just added some more, and to make it like the land of the giants, to make it all primordial.
I remember meeting Kevin Peter Hall for the first time when he came to the studio for his castings, for his body cast, for his head cast, to prepare for the process of creating the Predator. And here is this wonderfully soft-hearted, intelligent, poetic giant of a man.
Hi, Mom. What are you doing? Is Mom out there? Yeah, that's my mom.
That's your mom?
What are you doing here in the middle of Mexico?
It's amazing.
Get home. Go home. Where's Dad?
Kevin Peter Hall was our Predator.
Arnold, I'm looking for you, babe.
And he was in Predator too.
Don't mind the master in the background.
He was just a really sweetheart of a guy, big and tall and, and soft and sweet inside.
I need another finger.
Oh.
Thank you.
Kevin Peter Hall is a great kid. He got a lot of work playing monsters because he was 7 feet 6 inches tall.
And when you look at Kevin Peter Hall in that wardrobe, makeup, and with that size, and you see him against Arnold, you believe, ooh, Arnie's in trouble. He made it work. Kevin Peter Hall really made the thing work.
That's your lollipop gift. Okay. You can't breathe for 5 hours.
Wait, I gotta take a deep breath.
Oh, quit playing. Okay, that's the kind of language this chat.
Kevin was an extremely professional actor when it came to the suit and his longevity in it. He complained very little. He probably stayed in the suit. It's hard for me to recollect exactly the time, but I don't remember ever having to lose shots because he couldn't be in the suit any longer.
I am Predator, master of the universe.
What is you? He would stay in for hours. Fortunately, it was designed in such a way that the head could come on and off very quickly. So he would be in the suit, but we would in fact take the head off between shots and allow as much, air and breathing as possible. He was amazingly professional.
Every part you take on proposes certain kinds of challenges, and being in the suit makes other kind of challenges because you wonder how much of your performance is actually going to come through. Most people think that when you prepare for a role for this, it's mostly just physical. It's mostly just jogging and push-ups and movement, and all of that's very important. Endurance is very important to be inside a suit. It's very hot, and it's really rough work. But there was also a lot of thought into what kind of movement, what kind of planet he came from. You work on the inner things that are going on in the character, just like as you would in any character, in the suit or out of the suit.
He was a ballet dancer, and a martial arts expert. He was probably one of the kindest human beings I've ever met. A gentle giant, he was like a very sweet, kind-hearted human being, and had many good conversations with him. Would meet him on auditions and see him on the streets. Hey man, how you doing? Remember Predator? That was my favorite role, and just a really great guy, And I really am sorry that he passed. I have, just in general, the fondest memories of Kevin. I can't remember working with an actor under duress and more difficult circumstances than Kevin had to deal with in The Predator in the jungles of Palenque, and wearing this incredibly tough suit and create a performance in it. And never remembering a complaint, always a smile, and just a really wonderfully positive experience, and something that more people should have had a chance to have.
Stan creates the outside, and then I'm like the spark, like the life that's inside. Without that, you just have a suit.
Hi there, movie lovers. Ever been jealous of celebrities making a ton of money? How about Terminator 2 Judgment Day, in which Arnold Schwarzenegger earned $15 million for speaking a total of 700 words? That breaks down to over $21,000 per word. Hasta la vista, baby, that cost nearly $90,000. Make sure to click below to subscribe, or on the side for more awesome content.